Hey guys, wanted to do an in-depth review on Leviathan Wakes. I actually put a poll out on Twitter where I said, hey, what would you guys rather have? I need to do The Dragon Reborn and I have Leviathan Wakes. Which one would you prefer first? I think we got about 7 votes on it, but more people wanted to do the in-depth review of Leviathan Wakes, which is book 1 in the Expanse series. We read it on Bookie Club, so it was really cool. We got to kind of talk about it as we went. It's a cool online platform. There's a link in the description. I would love you to join. Free. Doesn't cost you anything. There are book clubs you can join that do cost, or you can use it as a Patreon. But my book club, when you click the link, will take you to my book club, and I'm not charging anything for that. So completely free on this end. The So I want to do the unavoidable and say this is spoilers all the way. I'm going to link a video up above. That's the one that I did that has no spoilers. And that one will go over all the topics that don't spoil anything. And then we'll give you a good idea on if you would like to read it or not. Kind of why I named it Should You Read. Maybe I'll change that in the future. I don't know. We'll see. So what I did is I filled out 10. I don't know if you can see. I did a notebook here. I did 10 items that I wanted to talk about in this book, big moments. And then I did 3 questions for book 2. I haven't read the synopsis on this one because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. And I haven't, I'm trying to go into it as blind as I can go. So number 1, the Julie mystery. It was cool for me because Julie Mao was the type of character where you learn about her but never meet her. And then we learned she was OPA. We learned she was from the moon originally, and then she moved out to the asteroid belt, kind of rebelling from her father, and loved racing. She was a spaceship. She did I think short jump spaceship racing on her ship, the Razorback, and that was really neat to kind of get to know her with Miller, and you see why Miller falls in love with her because he joins every aspect of her life, and the more he hangs out with her memories, the more he comes to respect her, and then through that respect he comes to love her. So it was really cool. You see her locked up in the locker at first, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden we don't see her for a long time, and we get all this backstory on what she's been doing, where she's been going, all these things, and then all of a sudden we see her on Eros and she's dead, and it's like, I assumed that Miller would really get bad, and I think he actually kept it in check pretty well considering what was happening on Eros and Julie's death. Totally understand him having hallucinations of her. I thought that was really cool. The idea of him having a break, and Julie was talking to him and walking with him and encouraging him, kind of acting as his conscience, I think. So the whole Julie mystery was cool. Everything to do with Julie, mostly because my favorite character in the book was Miller, and his detective work was really neat. Where you got to learn. I talked about it already in the first part, but you got to learn what was going on with Julie. Really, he even dug into what was going on with the OPA, the criminal gangs, and what they were doing, how they were moving and shaking, and the things that was going on. Figured out that those gangs were moving to Eros for the big chemical product murder thing that they did. And really the number 3 one that I want to talk about, the Canterbury and the Donager, and just the destruction of, and really just the destruction of these ships. The stealth ships are going through, and they were just killing everything that came by. And you're like, why was this happening? What was going on here? What were these people thinking? Who are these people? And you could tell that Mars was scared. You could tell that the belt was scared, and it really spent a long time as a kind of whodunit, destroyed the ship. Because initially you think it's Mars, like you're 100% sold. This is Mars. Mars did it, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I don't think Mars did it. Mars just got attacked and they blew up a Martian warship. And then we finally learned the scientist's name that's in charge, and his name is Dresden. I was like, oh man, please be Harry Dresden. Please let his first name be Harry. But he was such an interesting character. I hated him, and you're supposed to hate him. And I felt the feelings that the author was trying to convey, where he was just crazy out of his mind and high functioning, I guess, to keep going. But the idea of not having enough conscience to murder a million people and feel nothing for it, that guy has some issues, some big issues. Really kind of through a couple different instances, the what Protogen was willing to do reminded me a lot of old stories you hear about the Nazis, like where they would do chemical testing on like twins, and they do like hurt one twin and leave the other one alone, and then measure like what the thing that they're doing. They put them like in gas or underwater, all kinds of things like that, where you would go, okay, well this one is experiencing this and this one is not. It's kind of like a control group, and just the way that the Nazis are willing to do eugenics and just cut people off and are willing to do science that says, hey, human life doesn't matter. And it really felt what like Protogen was. Like even Dresden felt like just a dirty, scummy Nazi talker man. Man, the dirty politics in the series station where Miller comes in and his boss is sitting there with the lead OPA guy, and he's like, oh no, we're not going to continue to look at this case because I don't want you to look at this case. I'm telling your boss to get you to stop doing this. And then because he wouldn't listen to that dude, he got fired because the OPA guy wanted it. You talk about dirty politics. Those are guys they're supposed to keep in line and arrest. And then, that man, it shocked me actually how dirty those politics were. It wasn't even like hinted around the bush. It was like, we are so corrupt that OPA guy will sit in my office and tell one of my detectives to stop doing what he's doing. A job that I gave him to do. I'm like, that's pretty bad. Number 6, what is going on Venus? When Eros got there and it split into pieces, surrounded the planet and landed gently, I was like, what? That's so Eros is turning itself into its own spaceship, and now what's it doing? Is it going to colonize Mars? Is it going to any life forms that may be there? I don't think there are any, but take the life forms that are already on the Eros and use the gas from Venus and do something with it. And I think it's like sulfur or something in the air. I think that's like constant sulfur rain or something like that on Venus. I can't remember exactly what's going on. And man, how they did the Eros station where they locked people in these radiation bunkers where it's supposed to be safe, but then did put radiation emitters in to kill the people and load them with the radioactive material that this thing wanted to grow. And that was, man, I remember thinking through those chapters, like just, I kind of talked about those scientists being like Nazi scientists. Like, that's exactly what it felt like. I don't know if they pulled from that on purpose, but it sure felt that way. Yeah. And then, right on that same hand, where's the Nauvoo going? Like, it missed Eros. Are we going to stop it and turn it around? Does it not have, stoppable brakes? Where it thrusts in the opposite direction, or is it just a one direction? We're going to go out into the stars for our colony and just keep going. We're not going to stop. We're never going to turn around, so we don't have the ability to turn around. And the sucker just hits the sun. Like, it didn't get used for the purpose they were trying to use it for. So why not just give it back to the Mormons? I don't know. And then there's probably a question that I probably already know the answer to. But are we going to get attacked by aliens? Like, they shot the thing millions of years ago and got stuck in Saturn. But all of a sudden we're writing books about the time, so it's like, most likely we're going to see some aliens here in a little bit. I don't know if they'll be evil, benevolent, malevolent, any of those elements. And then, man, did we have some cool space battles. Those were so much fun to see, like Alex and his railgun and, talking about the tungsten steel and just shooting through the ships, because they were in 0G. Like that, man, I really, really enjoyed the space battles. Like just the times that they were getting hit with torpedoes and they were doing the guns and everything. Like, you don't see really good space battles in sci-fi sometimes. And sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, they had a battle or whatever. The new Star Wars series, I'm betting that they will. I haven't really read a ton of those. I got Aftermath and I got a little ways in, didn't enjoy it. But the space battles in this book are just Like, it's well described. You kind of think like you're there, but you're not. If something was a little bit wrong, you're not an astrophysicist. You're not an astrophysicist. And if something went wrong, you're not an astrophysicist. So it's not like you would be like, oh, nope, nope, bad science there. So, I don't know. It was really cool, though. I really enjoyed it. The book two, expectations. Let's go into that. Um, I think Holden's going to be really remorseful about Miller and Miller's death. Naomi's going to kind of be like, every time he looks at Naomi, he's going to be like, she told me to make amends with him. And then I think the way that he did Miller, when he's like, no, you're part of the crew, and then he does the thing that everybody knew he had to do, and he was the only one who had the courage to do it. Then all of a sudden Holden's like, no, we don't do that. We don't, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you were totally fine with Amos killing somebody earlier in the book, and all of a sudden you're different because what you've, you know, seen something that you never thought you'd. I don't know. I don't know. Another thing that I think is really going to affect the book is the dynamic of the war. Like, we talked about in one of the other ones. Are aliens coming? Well, that would make a huge difference because probably at that point, Earth and Mars and the asteroid belt would all team up and be like, hey, we've got this bigger, badder threat and we need to work together. But what if the aliens are coming just to check on the protomolecule, or what if there are no aliens at all and we just use the protomolecule to create brand new plastics or something nonsense like that? And then the last one is, so what characters are we going to follow? We followed Miller and Holden the whole way through, and alternating chapters. Is it going to be Holden again, or are we going to get another cast of characters that we haven't met yet, and kind of learn more about those people and those families and things? So this book was great for me. I really, really enjoyed the book. I took notes. I don't know if I showed you that earlier, and I rarely do that. I was intrigued by the mystery. I was intrigued by what was going on. I was intrigued by the science of it, and it was good. I can't complain much. So social media down in the description below: Twitter, Goodreads, Discord. All of those are great. Also, if you want to talk to me about anything, please do. I would love that. See ya. Bye.